right, this is a call to order for the Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chairman Evan Goodwin.
Here.
Vice Chairman Joe DePaul.
Here.
Commissioner Jim Hess.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Probst.
Here.
Commissioner Carrie Schmelter. Commissioner Debbie Wonder. Commissioner Carlita Frazier.
We still have a quorum without Commissioner Frazier. I'd like to welcome Commissioner Probst, first meeting. This is a notice reading regarding adjournment. The Historic Preservation Commission will not hear new items after 9:30 p.m. unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which have not been heard before 9:30 p.m. may be continued to the next regular meeting or a special meeting date as determined by the commission members. We've all read the minutes from the June HPC meeting. I'm looking for an adoption of the minutes. A motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt the minutes.
Second? I'll second. All in favor of adoption of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, the minutes are adopted. We have no public comment, correct? No old business either. So I'm looking for new business. We have one certificate of appropriateness.
Good evening, commissioners. Happy mid-August. Tonight before us, we have a certificate of appropriateness. It is a request from Southern Coastal Homes on behalf of the owners, the Hinces, for the construction of a new one-story single-family residential structure of approximately 1,818 square feet and a carriage house of approximately 1,165 square feet. It will be located at 5783 Yaupon Road, which is lot 38 in the Stock Farm development. It's located in the Old Town Bluffton Historic District and it's zoned neighborhood general HD. This is the site plan. You can see that this is on a 3-street or 2 real streets and an alleyway. So this is Yaupon up here, and then Mistletoe Loop is this direction here. So just for the record, 602 Carlita has joined us. Thank you. The first floor plan is on the screen in front of you, as well as the floor plan for the breezeway. There is only one floor plan, so this is superfluous, but the floor plan is located here, as well as the elevations. So I've got the elevations on the screen in front of you. Tim, I go very fast because I like to fly through these so we can go back and answer any questions that you all have. The rear elevation, so this faces away from Yaupon and away from Mistletoe. The left elevation, so this is the side towards Mistletoe. I skipped the right elevation. The right elevation, so this is towards the adjacent property in further on Yaupon Road. I've attached the sections and details as usual. They are very small on your screen, but I can zoom in if you need to see any of them any closer. And then the carriage house elevations as well. It is accessed off of the back alleyway. So the garage doors face away from Yaupon and away from Mistletoe Loop. You can see on the landscape plan, it's a little more zoomed in. Here are the garage doors. This is the adjacent property. It meets the setbacks. The setbacks for the stock farm development are determined by the development plan for the main structure, and the carriage house is set by our unified development ordinance, which is 5 feet from all sides. So it is meeting those setbacks, which are a little larger than some of those that you find in section 515. They do have a landscape plan which shows foundation plantings as well as street trees. As indicated in the staff report, we do not have those canopy coverage calculations, so we will need those. The HPC reviews applications for certificate of appropriateness against the criteria found in section 318.3 of our Unified Development Ordinance when assessing. It is the authority of the HPC to approve an application as submitted by the applicant if they meet those criteria, approve the application with conditions, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant if they find they do not meet those criteria. Staff has found with a few conditions, it could meet those criteria, and recommends approval with conditions. So the items I'm going to run through, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I'll run through the conditions that staff has found and then open it up for questions. There is someone from the applicant to speak on behalf of the project if you would like to ask questions of them as well, or open up the floor to have them speak to it. The first item is a tree removal permit. We have had a tree removal permit submitted, so it is on file. It has not been approved yet. We do need the canopy coverage calculations for that as well, but it is also a requirement that we make it this far before that tree removal permit can get approved, so that we know that they're not just cutting down trees to then walk away and move to Texas instead. The second one is a letter of approval from the Stockholm POA. I also have received that in the meantime. So this meeting being pushed by a week has given me the ability to have those items in front of us. The tree removal permit was actually submitted prior to the staff report, so I apologize on that. The next one is the material change at the rear porch takes place at an interior corner. Material changes shall take place on an exterior corner only, and I can show you that here. So this here is actually all one plane, and then it changes material right here. So that's all in line. And while there is a column there, not a column technically, but it's a column there, it is still the same plane and would need to have the same material there. The next item is there's some plywood in the soffit, which that's a standard detail that we see a lot, but it needs to be revised to a permitted material. The porch height needs to meet the minimum height requirement. Porches are required to be 30 inches above average adjacent sidewalk grade. It was sitting just below that. The shutter size, shutters are required to fit the openings which they cover. And if shutters are proposed, we do need to see a detail of those showing the material, operational hardware, or they could be removed from the drawing. The next item is that the columns on the front porch, the end bays, they need to be revised to be no further apart than they are tall. The next item is that during the site planning of any site, the consideration shall be given to the existing canopy of those trees. This is a really large site, but it's also a complicated site because there are some really big trees on this site. Let me use the word site 3 more times, guys. But the trees that are having to be removed for the placement of the house, if there was a way to shift the house a little bit and save a magnolia rather than a water oak, we just wanted to see if that could be addressed. We'd ask for a little bit more information on that at time of conceptual and did not see any arborist report or anything like that come in with the final, so we've just listed that here as well. However, again, there is no way to place the house on this site without taking out some good-sized trees, and there are still a lot of good-sized trees on the site. And I can bring up that for you guys just to see where it is that I'm talking about a little bit there. And then the last item is the canopy coverage calculations. It very well may be that they do meet those requirements. We just need the documentation that shows that it will meet those requirements. So the ones that we are looking at, these bays right here are wider than they are tall. And then the shutters are here. And the porch height is just below. And the trees was the last one I was going to show you. It will zoom in for me. Sometimes it doesn't like to zoom in this new version. So there is a 10-inch magnolia that's right here. There's a water oak right here that's 25 inches. This is a 10-inch magnolia. And there are a couple other large trees right in this area. So again, if they shift it to the screen left here, it will be taking out this water oak and a maple potentially in order to protect another tree. This is a 10-inch magnolia, so it really, it is up to y'all for a determination on the appropriateness of that. It is one that, because we had no additional information from conceptual when we mentioned it, we just have put it in there as well, but there are still going to be trees that are removed from the site no matter which way the house shifts. So it is, they're all decent sized trees there. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and the applicant is here to speak on behalf of the project.
I drove by the site, and the magnolia tree you're talking about, it is significant. And when you brought that up, was there any, were they open to maybe shifting the house a little bit to save that tree? Because the second biggest tree I think I saw was the water oak that you're talking about on the opposite side.
I will have to let the applicant speak to that, but it is a significant, there are a bunch of significant trees. There is another larger water oak that you may have been looking at that's right here. This one's a 20-inch, so how I always explain it is if you have a standard size sheet of paper and you turn it hot dog style, it is 11 inches. If you hold that out like this, you're meeting the tree width. So if this is a normal size piece of paper, this is an 11-inch, so it would be about this big around, where that one that is right up by the service yard is 12, so it would be, this is not quite a full-size piece of paper, but it would be about this big. So, and then the magnolia is a little bit smaller than that, so it's, so I don't know which, I think that you probably are looking at the correct one that you're saying is the substantial on the other side, but as a water oak, it is a fast-growing tree as well, so.
Why don't we start at one end and work our way down with questions? Commissioner Hess, do you want to start?
I mean, I don't have any questions. I mean, just,
Or comments?
I mean, I think you covered most of the things that would be concerning on the, on your suggestion, so pretty good with it.
Okay. Commissioner Warner, did you have any other questions?
When I went and looked at the site, the magnolia tree was, really stuck out to me, and I just wanted to find out confirmation, was there plans to remove it? And then in Katie's presentation, she mentioned that there was, like, somebody brought up the idea about shifting the house a little bit. And, on this, I think it's below attachment 3. Elevation. Seems like there's a lot of different size windows.
Below attachment 3, sorry.
In past meetings, that's always been brought up of like too many different size windows on one side. And if anybody else has a problem with it, it just seems a little odd to me.
That 4 different size windows on this one side.
Yeah, that's one side, and then the other one I think I was talking about was, that side there too.
We have an actual window and door schedule.
One was not provided.
But I'm just curious what everybody else thought about that.
For me, it's never so much about, and this may be different for others, but it's not so much about the amount of different types on one side or around the hole, as long as the proportions are in keeping around the whole house. Which most of them seem to, but it is kind of tough to see behind the shutters what some of them are doing. Like on the right elevation, there's a shutter covering it, that window. And it's hard to tell, but the sash looks like it's like off center from where the window would be, the top of the window would be.
On this one?
No, on the lower one, on the left side, that one.
Oh, this one.
So if you take that whole rectangle,
Oh.
the sash of that the upper sash looks like it's lower than it should be if that's the whole height split in half.
Okay.
I think that window had a transom on it in
That's what
the
I
conceptual approval, but we could let the
Yeah.
applicant.
What are the windows? Are they double hungs? It's hard to tell. Are they casements?
So the top one here is fixed, and then thought most of them are labeled, but
It's listed on the floor plan.
Yeah, there you go.
So
the type is not.
in some locations.
Triple hung.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the casements are identified here and over here,
So if they're all listed casements or double hungs?
And there's a
and then
triple
there's
hung, which is
fixed.
the one
This
that-
one's a triple hung.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to questions. Commissioner Warner, did you have anything else?
That was it?
Okay.
I don't have any commission or questions for staff.
Okay. Commissioner Probst, any questions for staff? Commissioner Frazier? Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yes.
Would the applicant like to speak to those or answer any questions?
Best of my ability.
Thank you for coming. If you can just state your name and just name, so we know how to address you.
I'm Bailey Quick with Southern Coastal Homes.
Okay.
So you can just say Bailey.
Thanks for coming, Bailey.
Yeah.
Commissioner Paul, do you have questions?
I guess to start on the windows, I guess start with the shutters. They look like they're shown as Bahama shutters that are only for the half of the height of the windows.
Yeah.
Staff's comments, I think, make sense that they would need to be the full height of the windows. Have you guys discussed that with your client?
So I talked to the architect and he said the shutters are sized for the windows, but he indicated them partially open and propped by a rod. So, I don't know if that kind of helps you, like that it's going to come down.
Yeah. I mean, typically when you prop them with a rod, they're not
Okay.
propped open. I
Yeah.
mean, for that to only cover that much, it's basically horizontal at that point. So I think that's what's confusing. Have
I
you
think that we
discussed that with the owners? Are they,
So we discussed taking the shutters off completely, and they didn't really like that idea.
Okay.
But we can kind of go back to a different style, maybe.
okay, but the intention is that they would be the full height, even though
Yeah.
they're not necessarily completely drawn that way
Yeah.
here. Okay. And then on the windows, could you try to run us through because I think what we would like to probably see is a door and window schedule, especially since most of the windows are obscured by shutters at this point in the drawing.
Okay.
Um,
I can get that over to you.
But could you try to run us through where there's the logic behind where there's casements and double hungs in this?
I don't know that answer. I'm sorry. I can get with the architect. He's the one that's been really talking to the client about all that kind of stuff.
Okay, it looks like there's only one double hung and it's a triple hung. Does that sound right? In which case I think we might have an issue with it just only having one window. That's a different type of operation.
Okay.
And then on the siding of the house, could you
So we,
describe what your goals were there?
so I think it was just the architect designing that kind of part. He didn't understand the fact that he wasn't supposed to change the material. Is that what you're trying to say? Or what?
Yeah, I guess the siding there, if you have some thoughts on that, I think we'd be interested in hearing it.
So we tried to get the architect to change it to all one type of thing, and he kind of came back with pushback saying that it was a different corner, that it wasn't changing, but we can talk to them about changing it. It was just a design aspect.
Okay. And then on the siding of the home on the lot
Mm-hmm.
with the trees, we had kind of talked about maybe shifting a little bit
Right.
during conceptual review, but there's some
So-
live oaks in the back that you're saving as well.
Yeah, so the client really doesn't want to move the house. They really like where it is at this moment. So we're thinking that if maybe we could save if we looked at it, we save a live oak 8-inch, live oak 8-inch, live oak 16-inch, and then 2 water oaks. I know they're not really something that you are wanting to keep, but just since the client wanted to stay in that same kind of area in the site plan, we just thought that saving some of the live oaks would kind of help with getting rid of that big magnolia.
I don't remember the live oaks being that big, but I know which live oaks would they wanted to save?
Kind of.
There's a 14-inch by the back porch and a 16-inch on the opposite side of the house by the bedroom there.
These right here, these ones.
There's a live oak underneath that 25.25 call out on the right side of the porch. And then a 14-inch live oak on the other corner of the porch. I mean, I think I'm sympathetic to that location, trying to keep those trees around their screen porch and not try to shift the house to the left here and closer to the garage.
So if you all are comfortable with that, potentially adding significant tree protection for the existing trees so that we ensure that when they start to dig the foundation for this and putting in the fill, they're protecting the root systems for those, if that's, if the intent is to ensure that these here are saved, making sure that that tree protection fence is in place.
I'm concerned about that 14-inch live oak next to the screen porch on the back. That's
Fine.
really close for the root system. And then it seems like that's even closer than the 10-inch live oak up on the right side of this screen, right lower.
The right.
Yeah, where the 25-foot contour is shown. There's an X shown through it.
It's not in the house, it's outside the house.
So
It's gonna
Straight up from the mouth.
straight up from that, right there.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
that's shown as being removed, but that seems further away than the 14-inch live oak by the screen porch. I'd like to see them both saved if possible, but I do have concerns about the root system of that 14-inch live oak being so close to that screen porch.
Do you have any other questions or comments?
I didn't have any other questions.
Okay. Commissioner Probst?
I guess I have some clarifications. One on the, can we go to the foundation plan? Okay, so if you're looking at that four-season porch, it looks like it's the same elevation as the house slab. If you look at the elevations, it doesn't look like there's a step down.
Sorry.
And I think that, go down,
This is the, I'm sorry,
right.
Four Seasons porch.
But I think that should be the same elevation as the porch. Because it's made to look like a porch detail. It's been filled in. If you look at the elevation, that's how it's drawn. I think the elevation's correct, because that brick goes around. See, it's the brick, that brick is at the same level as that porch.
I'm gonna ask the architect to
So
clarify.
I think that's boring, because it's made to look like a porch that's been, framed in, that it's at the same level. I just don't want that to go up, that brick to go up there, and be at a different level. And I think you just have to raise the floor then inside the house. So it's, if you want it at the same level, you have to build that up. But if the intent is to make that look like a porch that's been framed in, that brick needs to be the same level. Just a question, what's the porch ceiling gonna be?
Material.
We haven't really gone through that with them, but it's a requirement. No details.
Sorry, I zoom really
All right.
fast. This mouse has a delay on it.
It's showing beadboard on one of the wall sections.
Yeah.
Yeah, plywood beadboard.
Okay.
Is there a question?
So on the, if you can go down a little bit to the foundation detail.
For the porch.
Yeah, right there, that's perfect. So I think I'd like to see those pieces of wood that are nailed on to that. I don't think you're gonna get a shadow line there, and you're gonna read that foundation. I think there needs to be a furring strip behind that, so you get a shadow line.
So
Just a 3/4 inch furring strip there.
So the detail that we have here, whether there's a first strip, there have been several iterations of this specifically in the stock farm area. We don't have a code section that has to require that, but we do have one that says it does have to be set back into it, so it
Right.
looks true piers versus that, but the configuration specifically, we don't have an ordinance section that we've been able to tie that to.
Okay, I mean, the ones I've seen in there, they're actually built in the front, but you still get that shadow line. It's not, I mean, this is probably better. I just worry that you're not gonna get that shadow line if it's,
This is also the development which put that ordinance requirement into place, that we have to have that shadow line because they poured flat slabs and stuck with, I think, crazy glue to the front of them.
Right.
On a few iterations, but since then we've required that be set back, but we don't have one that specifically
Okay.
suits that configuration.
okay.
So we can make a suggestion.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, but it,
I get it. And then just a question on the columns themselves. Is there a reason there's not caps and bases on them? It seems to be everywhere in that stock farm has that detail.
I think it was just the client, so I can.
Just a question. And then, the other thing I worry about is the columns being just too close to that edge of the actual porch. That gets added on later, those bases might stick over.
Especially being flush with the front of the wall.
It is flush with it, yeah. Is there any, do you know what the actual service yard detail is? I didn't see anything on there.
correct, and I apologize if I have.
Looks like it's board on board, but it's tough to say.
Typically, it is wood hardy type.
So it should be specified?
Yeah, I think so. And the other detail I'm kind of interested in is the bracket detail for the garage. That is just a bracket detail.
I would agree, it looks a little bit undersized to me, especially the bracket relative to the size of the beam holding up the rafters looks very small.
Looks like a 4x4. It's tough to say.
With a lot of it tampered out.
Right. And then the other comment is what's with the porch being raised up to 30 inches, you're going to need a railing on that. What is the railing going to be? The front porch. Everything in there is just pickets. But being raised to 30 inches, you're going to require.
Yes, we have allowed, so the requirement of our ordinance is 30 inches above average adjacent sidewalk grade. We have allowed for it to be plus or minus 1 inch from there
Okay.
in order to meet that 29 inches and allow for them to not have to have a railing should that be their request. We do not allow it to be plus or minus 2 feet. So it does need to be just a hair off if that's the case. And while we have it on here, it normally says plus or minus 1 inch is how it truly is labeled because it cannot be maximum 30 inches. It has to be minimum 30 inches plus or minus 1 inch. And that's how we've had people that were able to not have front porch railings should they feel so inclined, which has been consistently acceptable in the past. But yes, if they are going to have it, we do need to see a detail of it.
That's all I got. Okay.
Commissioner Frazier, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Everybody has it all covered?
Okay. Just off the bat, it seems like a lot of comments and a lot of questions. So we have a couple options, I think. Am I correct in asking that we have the option to vote and either approve, vote and deny, or vote to table the discussion and have them address a lot of these concerns and resubmit?
Yes, the other option that you have, should you choose, I'm trying to go through here and narrow out and at least shape what I believe your motion is is to look like. So the tree removal permit has been submitted and the stock farm POA has been submitted. The material change at the porch, the direction on that I was hearing from it is change that to be appropriate, either have the porch step back or keep the same material on that portion of it. Is that appropriate? Yes?
Yes. I think.
Okay. The plywood needs to be revised, the porch height needs to be revised to the minimum. And on this page, the shutter does need to fit it. Was it acceptable to have a different type of shutter if they choose, or would you like to see those removed entirely if they do not have Bahamas that fit the windows to their size?
I think as long as they're revising it to fit the openings,
Revised shutter size to fit.
showing that in detail or showing it in some way.
But I see the direction you're going here, Evan, which is that there's a lot of things that aren't defined in the details that we would typically see. And I mean, I really appreciate the changes that were made to the carriage house and the back massing of the structure since conceptual review, but we're missing bracket details and a lot of information on the windows, and you know, the shutters are depicted in a odd way and are up in the air. The site's kind of up in the air. It's a lot of things to leave for staff review.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I hesitate to really list out all of the conditions because I don't want to take an informal vote, but it sounds like there's so many conditions that we would want to see it come again before the commission. Do I have sort of some agreement on that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith in staff, but especially, you know, like the bracket detail on the garage, I feel is pretty undersized, and I don't know where Katie would draw the line in reviewing those proportions and things like that, that I feel like we, as a commission, should probably take a look at again.
Okay. So it sounds like we're leaning towards probably a motion to deny or potentially table it.
So I am not arguing that point in the slightest. That is absolutely up to y'all. If the applicant requests to table it, it is something that definitely can happen. The other option is if you would like to, if there's clear direction, it could be approved with condition that it is brought back to HPRC, which is the Historic Preservation Review Committee, that 3-member subcommittee, with staff approval following their okay to it. I don't know if that is beyond the scope of what you're looking at, but if it is just wanting to be able to have a couple other sets of eyes on it, that is an option as well.
Okay.
I'm trying to add the items that were discussed here so that there's an idea. If I've missed something, please let me know.
Any discussion on that point? The idea of either denying, or, approving with conditions that it comes back before the HPRC or versus coming back before the full commission?
I'm okay with the first option,
Coming before HPRC?
yeah.
My understanding is that's something that Planning Commission does quite often, sending it back to DRC for a quick review.
Okay. Fraser? Yeah.
Sarah?
I just feel that there's a lot still needed to be done to this. To give them that option to table it, take care of all the concerns, whether or not they're willing to shift the house to save the trees, taking care of the shutters, the windows, all of those different things, and then just put it that.
That is definitely an option as well.
And will we make a vote to table it, or will we give the applicant the option to do so?
If the applicant requests it be tabled, you would move to table the application until further information is provided.
Does the applicant have any thoughts on whether you would like to table it and reapply or come back before the commission?
Sorry.
We'd probably like to table it more than get denied and
Okay.
have to come back.
All right.
I think we'd probably be happy to have further discussion on any specific points too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that they might want to talk more about the site or what else you would need from us if they really wanted to keep it. Like,
Sure.
would I need to get an arborist report or how does, yeah,
Yeah, and that's listed in the
Okay.
preservation review.
got it. Do you have a specific arborist like that you, okay.
That's certified and has a business license.
Okay.
And I think what I'm hearing there is that mostly our concern is that the trees are being saved in lieu of trees at the front of the house. The trees that are being saved in the back are really close to the house. And just overall kind of concerned about which trees are being saved and are they even really being saved because of the proximity of a turned down slab foundation.
How will you protect the root system?
Okay, thank you so much. So if the applicant is requesting to table it, then you don't need to sort of approve anything, correct?
No, however, if you all do see anything that I have missed in here, so that when I'm discussing with the applicant what it is that they're resubmitting, I'm not leaving out something that is major, that would be very helpful.
Okay. Does anybody have any other comments besides what Katie's listed out there?
Did I catch it all? Yeah.
We have a suggestion for the foundation.
Oh, suggestion for the foundation for the hog fencing, or the, yeah.
Straightforward.
I can't type, so no. There. I could hopefully fix that. Recommendation that a
Furry strip be added to the back of it.
Ooh, nope, still can't type.
Gray shadow on.
The back of the hog.
Spacebords. You can say spacebords. Yeah.
This is the same computer I use all day. Does that scare you all? Please, Lauren.
Anything else?
That matches my notes
Okay.
from our discussion.
All right.
I mean, I think in the window and door schedule, let's also review the application of the double hung encasements and make sure that it is consistent and makes sense. And that there's not just one double hung on its own in a whole house of casements.
I give up, y'all. Every
I mean, we
word.
don't need this to make the motion, right?
No.
Yeah, this is just for notes.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate to suggest that the architect could reach out to the HPRC for further questions, comments?
They can reach out to me and I am happy to pass on that through,
Okay, good.
through me, please, or through staff at least.
Okay, great. All right.
So if a motion would be made, I would encourage the motion to sound something along the lines of, I move to table the application for the applicant to address the conditions as listed in the staff report and as discussed during the August 14th Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
I'm looking for a motion then.
Literally be so moved, y'all.
Motion to approve that. I'll make a motion.
As
whatever-
stated?
Yes, stated. There you go.
Stated.
Second for Commissioner Frazier, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Then the motion passes to table the
Perfect.
the application. Thank you so
I
much
will
for
follow up
coming.
with an
We
email
really
with
appreciate
this
it.
information in it. Okay.
Okay, that's all the new business. We have discussion and historic district monthly update.
The monthly update for all of the mostly, I think they're all site features this time, is in front of you. The only one that is not approved is one that is on hold, waiting for business license to get updated appropriately. So, do you have any questions?
Questions?
All right,
Okay, thank you.
I got it.
For a motion to adjourn. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Perfect.
Meeting has been adjourned.